Hey everybody, Father Jason here. Today we're talking about Matthew's second chapter, and boy, is there a lot going on in this chapter. In the first 12 verses, we have the story of the wise ones coming to visit Jesus. More on that in a minute. And then in verses 13 through 15 are the flight of the Holy Family to Egypt. And then 16 through 18 is the slaughter of the innocents. And then 19 through 23 is the Holy Family returning to Israel and settling in Nazareth. Now, these are kind of famous stories. We see a lot of nativity sets where you'll have the Holy Family in the middle and then the shepherds on one side and the wise ones on the other. I keep using wise ones because in the Greek it's magoi, or which is plural of magi, M-A-G-I. And it's neutral. It's neither male nor female. And so we don't know the genders of these wise ones. We also don't know the number. It's traditional for there to be three because they present three gifts, assuming one gift from each wise one. But the text isn't that specific. Now, here's the other thing. This happens, it says, in the time of King Herod after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea. After. So it's really not part of the nativity scene. This is why in some churches you'll see, you'll hear, including this year in January, we'll be reading the story of the Magi in January during the season of Epiphany. And so that's really part of the Epiphany season. And to see them both together, when you see shepherds and Magi together in a nativity scene, it's conflating Matthew and Luke, which is two different stories. We want to keep them separated because there's insights that we can receive by just focusing on what the evangelist of the Gospel of Matthew is trying to tell us. Next thing I want to point out is the flight to Egypt. When an angel comes and tells Joseph to take the Holy Family and to flee to Egypt, then we get this is another parallel to Moses. Remember, I talked about that in the video yesterday. But it also says, then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother. Now, that's interesting. Sometimes I say, I'm going to take my kids somewhere. Or sometimes I say, Jody is going to take her kids somewhere, right? You ever do that? When your kids are doing great, they're yours. When they're not doing so great, they belong to your spouse, right? We all kind of do that sometimes. There seems to be, Matthew is done this before in the first chapter, there's some separation that Matthew is putting between Joseph and Mary and Jesus. And so it's really highlighting the fact that Joseph is a stepfather. But yet Joseph does flee with them to Egypt. They are immigrants to another country who are fleeing persecution, because that's what happens. Herod gets scared. And so again, another parallel to the story of Exodus, and Moses sends people to slaughter all of the little children in Bethlehem, just like the slaughter of the innocents that happens in the book of Exodus. So there's another mirror, another parallel there. Now, when the angel says that Herod has died and you can come back, it's interesting. He doesn't go back to Bethlehem. He goes to Nazareth. There's no indication in Matthew's version of the story that Joseph and Mary were from Nazareth to begin with. In fact, it reads in the 22nd verse, and after being warned in a dream, he went away to the district of Galilee. There he made his home in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled. He will be called a Nazarene. So, little slight differences from our story in Luke, which we're more familiar with in reading this time of year. So just some little differences. That gives us something to think about. What is the nature of family values with this separation between Joseph and the Holy Family of Mary and Jesus? What does that say about Matthew's interpretation of Jesus's family values? Let's keep looking towards that. Also, these wise ones come. They're Gentiles. They're coming and they're kneeling before Jesus. And that is an interesting thing because Herod, the king of the Jews, doesn't. So this is Matthew's kind of way of showing that Jesus's mission is going to bring in people who recognize the kingship of Jesus, who are unexpected. So that's another theme we can keep looking for as we move along. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumb and the subscribe button and that bell. This will make sure that you don't miss a single video and also helps promote the video as well. Also, if you really want to help us out, hit the share button and share this to your social media. This helps us proclaim the gospel farther and wider. And we'll be hitting chapter 3 tomorrow. Also looking forward to it in about a week or two. We're going to be having some guests who are going to also be talking to us about their reflections on the chapters of Matthew. So stay tuned for that. Remember, no matter what, God loves you more than you can possibly imagine.